We just went an entire week with our kids screen-free. I'm sharing what it's like to use screen-free parenting to see if you want to try it with your family too. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie Anderson and I share ways to work from home when you have little kids. So if that's you, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the red bell next to it so you'll know when I post new videos each week. So what is Screen-Free Week? Well, I didn't just make it up. It's an international event that's put on by the Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood. I guess back in the day it was called TV Turnoff Week, but now it's evolved into Screen-Free Week. It's when families are encouraged to put away the screens, go outdoors, spend time together as a family, and only use screens if you have to for work or homework. So our family tried it. We didn't follow it exactly. We followed it so whenever our kids were around, we were off screens completely. The reason we did it is we wanted to see what kind of changes might happen after just turning off and not using screens for a week. After reading that Silicon Valley executives who've created all these great screens don't allow their kids to use them, it made me think, like, maybe there's something to this. Maybe we can see some different personality traits or differences in our own family if we tried to go screen-free for a short time. I've been doing lots of research, and screen use has been linked to addiction, aggression, loss of focus, and anxiety. Did you know about this research? Do you think your family could give up screens for a week? Let me know in the comments below if you think your family could handle this. So what happened? Well, the mornings were really hard. We had fallen into a habit of turning on the screens when our youngest child would get up much earlier than the others. I was trying to keep him quiet and I just wanted to kind of ease into my day, so we turned on a TV show for him when he first woke up in the morning. So during Screen-Free Week, couldn't do that anymore. So it was an adjustment and it was hard. So he asked for the screens a couple of the days, and then by the third day he just kind of knew, and he just came down and I had some Legos set up for him and he just went and played Legos, didn't ask for it anymore. So it was much harder on me in the morning because I like to plan my day and get everything settled, and on those transition days where he wasn't quite sure what was happening, he needed a lot of my attention, so I didn't get that done. But once we fell into the routine of him coming down and playing with the Legos or whatever I had set up on the coffee table, it was great because he just played and I got my stuff done and we weren't using a screen. So it was a pleasant surprise to have that. The other things we noticed were when the kids were not sure what to do with themselves. At first they'd say things like, I'm bored, there's nothing to do, I don't know, can we go somewhere? And if they were stuck at home, at first there was some complaining and grumbling, maybe like 2 days, and then after that they just kind of knew. So they started to say, like, maybe I'm bored once or twice, and then I'd say, well, you have to figure it out, and then they would just go and play. And it was really, honestly, only like 1 or 2 comments, and they were perfectly happy. They played more games, they did more art, they created all these imaginary adventures with their plush animals, they built forts, they did all sorts of things, and they loved it. It was really crazy and eye-opening to me that they loved it that much, that it forced them to play together and it didn't allow anybody to escape to a screen. The other thing that was tough was I did have to be more organized. I had to make sure I had activities ready to go for the kids as opposed to just being lazy and here's your screen. Like, I had to think of activities, and that was okay. That's kind of what I do. So I have a lot of those activities in my arsenal. But for somebody who's not used to that, make sure you watch my video series about independent play, because that is really something that can help a lot. I also have, and I'll link it up below, a free download on how to set up long-lasting play. So if you have tools like this to get your kids started with play, it really helps out a lot. The other thing I noticed was I was kind of hoping that the kids would stop fighting. You know, I was reading that screens can cause aggression and addiction and this kind of crazy behavior. And so I was hoping that maybe that's why they were fighting, but it turns out no, I think it's just normal for kids to fight. I mean, we have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and they're not always going to get along perfectly all the time. But I'm sure reducing screens does help a bit, but in this case, I did not notice any drastic changes in their fighting behavior. They still fought from time to time. So did we like Screen-Free Week? I'd love for you to hear it from the kids themselves. So let's see what they think.
What I liked about Screen-Free Week is that we got to get smarter. What I didn't like about it is that we didn't get to do no screens. I liked having Mom not be on screens, and she spends more time with us. And I didn't like that me and my brother didn't get time to play screens on the weekends.
What I liked about Screen-Free Week is that I got to do fun stuff that doesn't include screens. Like, I built a really cool fort, and I got to go to the park and do in the pool and stuff more. And what I didn't like is that I miss screens a little, but not too much.
So what did we learn and what will we change after trying Screen-Free Week? Well, two things. We are going to change our habits and we are going to do more planning ahead. Those are the two big main takeaways that we got from Screen-Free Week 2019. The first one is we definitely had fallen into a habit of watching TV in the morning when it really wasn't necessary. We can easily set up a different activity for our child who likes to be an early riser, and that works just as well as a screen ever did, and it's much better for his brain. The second thing is when we are going away to somebody's practice or an event or a long car trip, instead of grabbing a screen, we're going to do more planning ahead with what kinds of activities can the kids do on the sidelines or in the car. Is it art? Is it a sensory bin? Is it a couple action figures? We're more prepared in setting that up so we have it ready to grab and go when we go out the door. The other thing we're going to do is sometimes when the kids were really little, I used screens when I just needed a break, because the kids were acting up most of the time. So now the research that I've learned is the worst thing you can do is use a screen when your kids are bored, when they're frustrated, when they're overtired, or when they're having some sort of tantrum. So I'm gonna make sure that when we use screens, it's a very deliberate decision and we're not just doing it because we have had enough with the kids. So that's a big thing for us to have changed after Screen-Free Week. And the last thing we're not going to change is we're not going to change using screens on the weekends. Not that we're going to give them unlimited time, but I do think it's nice to have some enjoyable time to watch a sporting event, watch a movie, do something kind of fun. It can still be a family activity or an individual activity, but we're not going to keep our kids completely screen-free, even though I'm sure there's a huge benefit to that. We're realistic and we are a modern family and we're not going to give it up completely. Would you try Screen-Free Week? Well, the first step is knowing how to track your current screen use. So in the next few videos, I'm going to be sharing how to set up the parental controls on the different screens in your house. So if you're interested in learning about that, stay tuned for my next videos, and I hope I'll see you over there. In the meantime, comment below, let me know if you're going to try Screen-Free Week, and let me know you're here. I'd love to say hi. Thanks, I'll see you in the next one.